starting an online platform is hard, right? It's capital intensive, and like it's one of those things where like, we're RM Sotheby's, so we're going to start a digital auction platform. Everyone's going to pay attention. It's going to be no problem. Turns out it's a lot of work, right? To like get people to pay attention to you, to like get people to take you seriously. And like we're also standing on the shoulders of an absolute giant, right? Bring a Trailer has built a community of people, and they've done a really good job of like aggregating people in a marketplace. But what we wanted to do was something different. Like we wanted to create a marketplace that focused on cars $100,000 and above, that deserved, escrow of funds, that deserved photography and inspection where necessary. And all of the things that we saw as a gap in the marketplace, we set out and we're like, great, we're gonna go solve this, right? Like we're gonna create what RM does in the live auction environment, where RM is the largest global in-person auction platform that exists, right? Monterey, the basement of the Louvre in Paris, on the track in Monaco, Vegas, Arizona, and everywhere in between. RM does it better than anybody in the world. We wanted to recreate that in the online environment. To do that, we're like, okay, cool. We got to start showing up to the places that these guys are driving the cars. Because a lot of stuff that RM sells, like, you get into like Uhlenhaut Coupe that sold for $150 million and stuff like that. You're not taking that car on a rally, and therefore, how are we gonna ever meet these guys that like buy the cars online, buy the GT2s and GT3s and drop head coupes and all the things that people trade with a little bit more velocity? They go to events, right? They go to rallies. One of the most exclusive rallies in America is the Bridge, and I know you've been, a bunch of times, and it's like an incredible thing out in the Hamptons. It's unbelievable. And so somehow we got included in it early, right? And like we're barely walking at this point. We're just like a little toddler trying to figure out our sea legs. And so we get invited to the Bridge. We don't really know what we're getting into. Like a couple of the guys had been independently before the business started, but we're like, okay, we're gonna show up, we're gonna engage the guys, we're gonna go on the rally, we're gonna host a dinner, all the things. And we're still trying to bootstrap this business in the beginning, right? Like we weren't even barely selling cars at this point. So reached out to a dealer friend of ours in the area, and we're like, hey, we're going, do you have an extra car that we can use for the Bridge? He's all, no problem. Like, I got you guys, we're gonna take good care of you. You get out here, you take care of us, we'll take care of you. So we're great. And we show up and he's got a 500e, which, great car, cool, fine, it's lovely. But we're taking this thing to the Bridge, and the Bridge is, it's like a Skittles bag of supercars that have exploded all over these lawns and on the roads of the Hamptons for the weekend. So 500e is a fine car to get us there, but it's a bit of a tricky car to take on a rally. If you've ever tried to rally a 500e. At one point, we're driving through the Hamptons, we're like joining this rally. We're trying to keep up with an F50 and an F40. Just absolutely screaming through the streets of the Hamptons. And the 500e, anytime you go around a corner, because it's got these like fairly thin tires, right? It feels like the thing's gonna roll off. The tires are gonna roll off the wheels every corner that you go around. And at the end of the rally, I remember a guy in the F50 was like, man, I can't believe you guys were able to keep up with us. Like, I can't believe that you took that car and you just did what you did in it. And it was like, that was one of those experiences where you realize that to some degree doesn't matter what you're in. It just matters that you're passionate, you know what I mean? And like there was like this respect transfer that they gave us at the event for doing that. And it was also one of like the core memories of like building this business for anybody who was involved in this event and the Sotheby's Motorsport team, the SOMO team that was there, like it still hits. Anytime the story comes up, there's like a smile on people's face, right? They're like, I cannot believe we just took a 500e to the Bridge, which like, what are you doing with that at the Bridge? And then on the rally with these like, supercars that like is, even at the time they're aspirational, you flash forward 2.5 years, the value of an F40 and F50 has, 2 to 3x, right? Since even that event based on what's going on in the Ferrari market as of late. But it was such an incredible experience for our team and a way for us to connect with the community. And that was like the catalyst for us. We went on from there to doing, rallies in Arizona around Scottsdale with some of the local kind of rally guys. We did a really cool thing with you, Ed, where we sold a collection of cars. The audience peaks, right? We thought we were doing was building a business, but what we really realized we were doing was building a community. Like really quickly, we realized it's not a business. It's a community of people who want to buy and sell things between each other. And, the Bridge gave us the idea, and then partnering with you gave us this great audience peak where, we sold a package of cars. We had that 6-wheel Land Rover, and like, I still think about this car because it got so much attention. It didn't get a heck of a lot of bidders, but like so much attention, so cool. And those little inflection points around like our story and like the community that has developed around it, that has like paid attention to you and your cars and now pay attention to us. the guys that went to the bridge and like saw this little engine that could, in a 500E trying to keep up with an F40 and F50, it gave us something, right? Like it's become part of our kind of like heritage story that I think sets us apart from some of the people who have tried to do things along the way and have tried and failed, or like not able to break into the United States within this market, because we keep showing up, right? I'm going from this, whenever this airs in 2-3 weeks, to Nashville to do a Cars and Coffee. And we have like a little 35-person parking lot, right? A little 35-stall parking lot. And we thought, great, we'll get a small Cars and Coffee event together. We've never done anything in Nashville before. And we had like 500 people reply to our invitation like overnight, with like mega cars. We're talking Ferraris and Paganis and Roof and other Porsches and like all this stuff. And we're like, oh my gosh, like they know who we are now. Like, our reputation now precedes us because of, the 500E, because of the partnership with, you and the 6-wheeled Land Rover. In a lot of ways, it felt like, SOMO was the 500E, and the other people who have been doing this for, 8, 10, 12 years were the F40 and the F50, like outgunned, out-capitalized, out-manpowered. At the time, I think we had like 5 or 6 people building an auction platform completely native and independent to RM Sotheby's. Like the DNA tie was there, but we built it all from scratch, from the ground up, because we needed to. That car, that 500, really felt like the parallel in business, that we were chasing the guys who had been doing it for so long, that had such a giant head start and had so much more horsepower than us. But at the same time, like the 500E didn't give up, right? And like the wheels didn't fall off. And we got to the end and developed the respect and built the respect with the guys who were there. And I think we've done the same thing within the space. Like we're coming up on 3 years of Sotheby's Motorsport, and like it has doubled and tripled every year, right? Like we're on pace to do nothing we've ever done before this year. Our sell-through rate's north of 70%. Our ATV is north of $160,000, or the average thing we sell is north of $160,000. And there's massive outliers like that are well above that. So like, I think that 500E at the bridge in the Hamptons, that was like almost our origin story of the business, of like, even though we come from this big business, right? Like in-person auctions only represents like 4 to 5% of the total addressable enthusiast market, right? So the other 95% of cars are trading privately. They're getting traded into a dealership if they're like, late model 17-digit VIN stuff. They're going on sealed, they're going peer-to-peer, they're going online. And so if you watch the arc of like where the market's trending, like more and more people are transacting online, and the majority of the market is outside of the in-person auction. The in-person auction is something that'll never go away, and it'll only become more powerful over time. Everyone says, oh, digital is going to replace and wipe out in-person stuff. It won't, because the in-person auction is what sets the market, right? You look at what's happened recently in the Ferrari market with some of these like crazy transactions and collections that have sold that have brought the value of some of these cars up by like 30, 40% overnight. And what happens is, a car that's right for auction is a car that is like, the best of the best within the market. Like the best example available of an F50, right? A car that needs a story told right. It's not just a car. It's Pininfarina, and it was driven by this guy, and it lived in South America, and then it lived here, or it's one owner. And like, you need to be able to tell that story arc, like effectively, to be able to make sure that you reach the, the 4 people around the globe that care about that. What happens is you get these auctions like, Monterey is an example, and we'll sell whatever, 150 to 200 cars over a couple of nights, and biggest in the Bay, or, during Monterey Car Week, and whatever, like $500 million of cars change hands like, over a couple days up in that market. And it's the Super Bowl for our whole world, because what happens there then hits online, then it hits the private sellers, then it hits the dealers, because it sets the market for these cars. So you see like, okay, great, the best example is worth X, right? So then all the other examples are worth, X less 5%, or maybe X plus, 10%, depending on what the market decides. And then it runs from there. So you've got this thing, this global engine of online auctions, and like you put people in the environment to learn about the cars. You put them with experts within the space, guys who have lived this. Like Shelby Myers is my colleague in Los Angeles, and he's Rob's son and like the heir apparent to the business. He's the guy who sees, the forest through the trees. He's like looking at the digital revolution and the creative revolution, and like, how do you tell these stories? It's guys like him that have to tell these stories and reach the new bidders and reach the new buyers. But he's, 40 plus years into the DNA of the enthusiast auto world. Like he was traveling to auctions in Arizona with his dad when he was like 3 years old. And by 6, he's running around the room bid spotting. And, by 40 something, he's the global authority on most of the coolest cars on the planet. And it's that level of depth and knowledge that's required to set a market in the in-person space. And the in-person space sets the digital space. So if you take away that out of this market, you've got a bunch of cars that need stories, that need people to like hand sell them, to tell you why they're important and valuable. And then also just to create the energy in a room, right? Like you've been in a lot of auction rooms, and on like a Friday or Saturday night, mid-pack in an auction, when there's, you know, a couple hundred or a couple thousand people in the room, had a few drinks, like once a car starts moving and like it really takes off, like the energy is like nothing you've ever experienced. And it's like, it's next to impossible to replicate that anywhere. If you're home alone on a computer, really cool when you're hitting the keys or on your phone. But when you're sitting in a room, you know, and some guys just bid $22 million on an SB3, like you don't experience that energy anywhere, nowhere within the space.
When you're looking at a used car, the most important step is a good inspection, and Lemon Squad is the fastest, easiest, and usually the cheapest possible way to get that car inspected, because their nationwide network of certified inspectors can be on site usually within 24 to 72 hours anywhere in the United States to let you know exactly what you're looking at and give you the negotiation leverage that you're looking for. But look, when you're buying a used car, generally you are trading that downside of depreciation of a new car with some mechanical risk that goes with having a used car. And starting with a good inspection is the right first step, but things still happen. Things still break down the road. And Lemon Squad has just launched their new program, Lemon Squad Protect, to insulate from those exact risks. And the coolest thing is, once their inspectors say that the car is good enough to qualify and it goes through their system, you can actually just pay for it month to month and cancel it at any time. The coverage is really affordable, and it is the best way to have that peace of mind that whatever used car you're buying is going to keep behaving itself and not break the bank. So check them out now at the link in the description below, or use the QR code on your screen to check out Lemon Squad Protect and see if your vehicle is eligible. Check out Lemon Squad Protect to thank them for their support of VINwiki, and drive with more peace of mind with Lemon Squad.